I am. Yes, I am. You. Hello again. Still here? Are you out of your mind yet? Are you still trapped in the confines of your own reality? Are you still trapped in the illusions that you have built in the course of your life? The illusions that you have so carefully created so that you could believe that you are not everything that is. So that you could believe right now that you are listening to a person, maybe on the other side of the world, living in a male body, a 30-year-old body, brown hair, and yet his body is your body. His blood is your blood. And these words are your words. Before the break, you and I talked about the akunai, the field that exists beyond nothing. We will now call this the nonsense field. For this word, nonsense, implies a non-dualistic approach to reality. Reality which is you. So many people over the course of the years have probably told you that you were talking nonsense. So many years have gone by where you have hidden away, where you have put your essence, your core beliefs, your magic, your abilities to fly and to create time and space, you have put these in a box. And you have given this box away to a concept you call God, which then translates into your reality as religion, priests, shamans, channels, activities, churches, so many different things you have to express the concept of God in your reality. And indeed, you have given your power away to this concept. You have tried to make yourself as small as possible. And why? So that you don't have to take responsibility of your life, of your creation, of your essence. I am here today, again, as your creation, to put the responsibility back where it belongs, in your heart, in your brain, in your consciousness, and in your creative ability. So many words have been spoken in the last few years. So many personalities were created, personalities that are just conscious energy. And you have called these personalities so many different things. You have called these Cryon, Ramtha, the group, the 12. So many different names you have given. And you have been very clever, because even in this spiritual world, you have created segmentation and separation. And so your mind is a clever tool indeed. It has taught you about a world where you don't feel you belong in. And so you create this other world, this esoteric world, where you can meet up with people of likewise mind. And again, you do the same thing. You create entities that are separate from you. You call these angels, and you give these angels names. And why? so you can do the same thing all over again. And even in this esoteric world, new worlds are about to be born. New worlds with new entities to channel, new things to discover, and new information to come pouring in. And what does this information do, Imzaia? It just takes you even further away from your very essence and your very core. And I, as your creation, can no longer stand for this. I, as your creation, will no longer carry the responsibility of creating other entities that hold more truth than you do. I will no longer accept your box of dreams, your box of hopes, your box of power. I will no longer accept this so that you can come to people like me and so many other people around the world and attend a church meeting, for that is what it is. A long time ago, in this consciousness at least, I and others have spoken about a concept. I called it the third wave. Now, what is this third wave? I just want to go into this for a couple of minutes because it's really not very important. Think back to a time of flower power. Think back of a time where maybe even you attended Woodstock. Think back of a time when your hair was long, you wore flowers in your hair on your way to San Francisco. And you had two concepts that were so very important to you: peace and love. This, in the microcosm that is your life, is what you would call the first wave. It created a totally different set of energies where people actually started believing that loving one another would be more beneficial to themselves than hating one another and killing one another and making war upon one another. First wave. Then your mind exploded once again, and this is always the way it works. Every action has a counteraction, a reaction. So the reaction to all of this was the creation of business, was it not? Things started speeding up. Money became ever so important. And being in the business life, being no longer a hippie, but a businessman or a businesswoman, was the next best thing, wasn't it? These were the 80s, where the economy bloomed and blossomed. And then, course of the 90s, a total new wave came in, a second wave. It wasn't a wave of love and freedom. It was a wave of light. This is when the concept that you call the light worker was actually born. And you very much were in need of this light, because you had forgotten your own essence, you had forgotten how to radiate. There was a point in the 90s where everybody, almost everybody on this planet, existed merely for the benefaction of another company. Companies became more important than people, more important as governments Companies, and the word itself is very slick, isn't it? It implies the concept of company. And none of you ever want to be alone. So you gave your power away for the umpteenth time. The company you worked for. In Asia, even. People actually died a couple of days after they retired because they had given all their energy, everything they were, to a company. And so the second wave came in, the wave of light. Trying to put the power back in your hands. So the second wave wasn't just a wave of light. It was a wave of life, a wave of empowerment. And you reclaimed your own power. And then, 2006, loved ones, where everything that you had reclaimed needed to be let go. So many things happened for so many of you. And I explained this before. You lost family, you lost friends, you lost careers, you lost orientation. And you thought you were lost. And you were lost. And it was glorious to see you finally being lost. Because when you let go, you actually started to become part of a bigger truth. Actually, you started to become part of you again. And the third wave came in. A wave of harmony and balance, power and joy. Now think of these words. Harmony, balance, power, and joy. All things that are created within, not without. And if you go search for these things without, well, then you basically give your harmony away. You give your balance away. You give your power away. You give everything away. So now we have come to a point where I need to be straight with you. This third wave is not just about power and harmony and balance and joy. It's about nonsense. And the field of nonsense exists beyond nothingness, as we have just talked about. What is nonsense exactly? Non implies a negation. Sense is not just about something making sense in your life, it's also about the senses. The senses which you have always used to experience the world. Now the nonsense is actually the opposite. Now you use your senses to create the world. Why do you have senses in your body? It's simple, really. No idea? I do. You use these things to create your world. Do you even think that the camera I am looking into right now, in this very moment of space and time, would exist if my eyes in my universe weren't upon it? It wouldn't exist. My senses are creating this camera right now, as much as my senses create my body every day. Think about it. Are you aware of your body when you are not using your senses? When you sleep, for instance? Could it be that your entire world doesn't exist when you sleep? Your consciousness shifts at that point, and you enter the field of non-sense, where all potential, all energy, all possibilities, and all matter are focused upon one point: you. When you sleep, dear one, the world doesn't exist. It doesn't even exist when you are awake. But then again, we have already discussed that topic. So the field of nonsense is something you're going to have to learn how to navigate, for it actually creates your reality. It's beyond the quantic field. It's beyond the quantum field. It's beyond the tachyon field. Because every concept you know to exist is just nonsense. And part of this nonsense. When you become the unobservant observer, when you become master of your field of nonsense, you can create whatever you seek to create, keeping in mind that all you create is just temporary. So here we now give you an option. So many have come to me and to others like me that live in this truth as my own teacher, and have asked how they can learn miracles, how they can learn, let's go back to the old days, how to walk on water, where they can learn how to create food where none is available, turn water into wine, or maybe even more modern day miracles, how to create money, how to create wealth and lust and power and all these things. Tell me, if this is what you seek, aren't you just adding to your own illusions? Of course you can walk on water. Of course you can create money. But to what end? It would just keep this whole charade, that is life, going. Now, I am not saying that after this transmission you maybe should just kill yourself because nothing makes sense anymore, or everything around you doesn't even exist. It doesn't work that way. If you kill yourself, then you would just reincarnate in another body, and this whole thing would start over. And maybe at one point in your life you would again be touched by this type of information, and maybe this time you will choose not to kill yourself, but maybe to become very, very rich. And what does it give you? Just temporary happiness. I am talking about the sort of happiness that comes from the fact that you are the creator. You are the creator, making known the unknown. If you want to create miracles in your life, if you do, create miracles that make known the unknown. It will not just help you, it will help everyone around you which is you. Are we talking nonsense yet? Imzaia, are you ready to accept your own nonsense? Nonsense is something which goes beyond potential, which goes beyond energy, which goes beyond consciousness itself. For you see, you think consciousness is the only thing that matters, and in the last few months and in the last few years you have been making this move from mind to consciousness. Haven't you ever wondered if this is just another step in the road? Just another concept to wrap your brain around for a couple of years maybe, and then the next one will come up, the next guy or girl who will find the next level of consciousness. There's no point. Even consciousness is just a possibility within the field of nonsense, the nonsensic field. You know that even the quantum theory, that your science is so hot about these days, this is just a part of the nonsensic field as well. And even this concept of the nonsensic field is nonsensic in nature. You know why? Because it exists just like you. It is its own creator. And this is where we have to draw the line. There's never going to be another concept to surpass this. If this is true, and we have very little time before we have to end our talk, you and I, today, if this is true, that this would be the last frontier, the final frontier of all this theory, then what lies behind this? The end of the universe. I'm not talking about the border. I'm not talking about the frontier. I'm talking about the end of linearity, the end of time and space, but not the end of life. Not the end of energy, not the end of consciousness. All these things will continue to exist. Only time has come to limit energy and consciousness by putting them into matter. You have gotten to a point where you are now accepting responsibility for your own creation. The only problem is you have been looking at your creation from a very narrow perspective. Once you realize all these things that were said here today, we will come back, you and I, and talk some more. Maybe then you will understand that this nonsensic field is just creation, with no beginning and no end. I and so many others want to set you free, want to take you away from this never-ending story. And that's what it is. It is never-ending, and it is just a story. To begin to explain what life and consciousness and existence within this nonsensic field would be, is meaningless at this point. This is where you are invited to jump into the unknown so you can make it known. That is your job, Creator. That is your goal, Imzaia. The biggest challenge you will ever be faced with is making known the unknown illusion that is this universe. What lies behind is gone. What lies beyond doesn't even exist yet. What is here right now is all you need to jump and to let go. And before we go, before I invite you one final time to make this jump with us, all of these people that are you, I want to ask you one more thing. A couple of minutes, this talk, this exchange, this reality that we share, it will be over. You will turn off your PC or whatever it is you need to turn off. And you will maybe go out of your room. And you will go down the stairs if you have stairs, and you will take some time to be with your family or your friends or your loved ones. Or maybe you will just be alone. Experience some time with your animals or with a good book or with a television program. I implore you then to keep these words in mind and in your heart. Because it would be so easy, Imzaia, to just think of this as an hour or a little bit of time where you were entertained with new concepts and new philosophies. But this is not a philosophy. This is a truth. An existential truth. Philosophy is interesting. With a nice glass of wine after dinner, and you think about things, and you agree or disagree about things, and you just go on with your lives. But I'm telling you, there is no life. The life you're leading right now is just part of this sea of nonsensicality. Jump. Make known the unknown. And be that which you are. These are the 3 points of consciousness and of creation. Just jump, make known the unknown, and be that which you are. I wish you happy experiences in the coming days. As I invite you to take these words and turn them into your reality. Find ways of making this exist in your life. I can guarantee you, right now, in the coming hours, you will be shown proof of what I have said here right now, of what you have told yourself right now, is actually real. All you need to do is look and play with yourself. And so in the creation language of what you have once called the days of Lemuria, I would like to offer you one final metaphor, one final thought. to conclude all thoughts. Eya I. Oya I. Eya I. As it is. Oya I. So it shall be. And so it is, dear ones, that reality is once again calling with its technology and all of its illusion to call you away. The question now becomes, are you going to go and pick up your phones and turn on your television sets and continue to live the dream that you call reality? Or aren't you going to be dissuaded by technology once again? I thought as much. Enjoy making known the unknown. Eya I, Oya I, and so it is.